Hello, 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 Self, Cosmos, Ohana, Soul Dr. Nick here. It is Saturday, October 18th, 2025, around 7:35, 7:45 a.m. Sunrise has happened, very cloudy day. The clouds are moving though quite quickly. Ooh, just notice they're moving. And just a general kind of overcasty looking, not raining right now. Out here on the rooftop patio with a fire. Um, just gonna label things with this DJI Mic 3, which I'm really thrilled about because I can connect up to 4 microphones and really get group recordings as needed. And then also this iPhone 17 Pro Max in cosmic orange. And I'm highlighting it because it makes me happy, and it's true. But part of it is there's such a joy that I'm rediscovering from beautiful tools that I get to use, including this 30-liter propane tank with this fire bowl that has an orange top as well. I remember getting it. I remember getting another one and be like, oh, this one's got an orange top. Gotta get the one with the orange top. And then remembering that this space that we're in, not perfect, but home right now, and how to both appreciate, love, and grieve it, because it won't be around much longer for us, because we're going to figure out something new. And much longer can be a day, a month, a year, letting go of that time horizon that I have to get something done by. And it's time to clean things up. There's a lot of messiness, energy leaks, all that stuff. And potent time, parents are in town. Just had a dinner with my parents and my beloved's parents, and some siblings and some nieces, and just being with all of that energy, recognizing that it'll be time for a haircut, probably a new look in the nearest future, while also recognizing there's a part of my brain going, oh, what if these are antennas that I'm cutting off? And just being with the noticing right now. Remembering that I really don't know anything, that I'm playing around with it, that there's no universal truth in that sense. And tomorrow I'm already both fantasizing being with the idea of health, because it's going to be the first of a series of 6 breaths: health, wealth, family, freedom, flow, receiving, and noticing how I'm really trying to push an agenda, push a message, create disciples and discipline. And the only reason I'm saying it out loud is because it's important for me to notice that aspect and then say, is that what's really important? Okay, first it's grounding people into the breath, into the experiential. You're here for your own experience, your own integration, your own space. And I'll have a little quote unquote sermon. And it's there to loosen things up, to create the school of learning, to be with the paradox, to notice what feels in alignment, what feels out of alignment, to notice they're just ideas, and then to be with the parts of the story that I feel called to share. It's never going to be a complete story. It's from this perspective. And what is probably the most true is what's present in life, not the labeling of it. Oh, I've got high blood pressure, I've got ... Just the actual parameters that are being measured. And notice and remember the measuring tools are quite crude in a way, not good or bad, just they're what they currently are. Just like 100 years ago, we thought the things that we used were quite crude. And then 100 years before that, so different as well. And then how the history that we have, the beliefs that we have, the stories that we have are written by the people who write them from their perspective as well. And how many people are actually conscious of their perspective of the stories they tell. Even the idea that, the First Nations before didn't live very long, that we've increased our life expectancy, rather than notice that this general idea of life expectancy, the biggest shift that's happened is the change in infant and childhood mortality. And what if we reframed infant and childhood mortality not as good or bad, as just a thing that is? And having said that, I can't imagine being with more mortality. This is the current patterns in life that we're currently living into, and the difference between not dying and living. And It is not easy sometimes, or not familiar, just to choose to live without knowing. I can't predict all the future. I can't predict days, weeks, months, years, decades, generations, lifetimes. And it feels like the more I actually step into it, the more that it feels predictive. Part of it probably is the reminder that I have that I'm a infinite soul, whatever it is, coming out into human experience, and the whole idea of down, solidifying into human experience, vibration becoming matter. And the breath I did the other day, one of the more elderly ladies was just like, I was just vibration. And I was like, wow, 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 what a remembrance. And I've had that experience before as well, just vibration. And then going between the layers, between the ethers, between the creation, and then coming from the different spaces of pain, of rage, of grief, and stepping into joy, and joy being the unconditional acceptance of all that is exactly as it is. And even finding the joy in the scratches on this phone, finding the joy in the damage on the bumper of my car, finding the joy in the scuffing, finding the joy in the burning of the feathers that I love, finding the joy in everything that I've wanted to keep perfect because I'm so used to it, rather than actually use it and feel like it's thoroughly used up in the best way possible. Not disrespecting, destroying, disregarding, embodying. And even my own body, right? Like before it was like, I've got to get to the place where I never get sick again so I can tell people I never get sick. And then the ego's like, I have figured it out. As distinct from, okay, I still do get sick. I still am trying out different things. I am still figuring it out. Right now I just turned down the brightness level of the phone. It's shifted as red as I can while still having enough contrast that I can see what's going on, so I can minimize the amount of blue light, flicker, and all that stuff, while recognizing anytime I use any of these devices, there's blue light, there's flicker, there's all those other things. And just putting the phone on complete airplane mode as well. And it's still able to record. Good. And then taking a breath. Reminding myself that often I forget to take the breaths. And then I notice and I take the breaths again. I notice the judgment right away. Oh, how could I have forgotten? And then it keeps coming back. I look in hindsight at things that I did or didn't do, the ways that I held containers, safety, ceremony, people, and how I can notice now how I fell short, and I judge myself that I'm like, I did it wrong. And loosening that grip, because if I keep looking back and saying I did it wrong, I can't see that every step was the learning and the tuition. Every time I invested and got it wrong, every time I didn't invest, the Googles, the Apples, because the price tag on each was too high, it felt. Google started $100 a share, and I remember talking to my mom about it. She's like, oh, that one's too expensive, we gotta get a cheaper one. I was like, no, just buy 10 shares of it. And I had opportunities. I had Shopify way back when. Apple, I was gonna buy the physical shares from my brother and my dad. It was about $70 US or $50 US. I said, too much. And now each of those shares are worth over 1,000, right? So over 10 times the growth over the period of 25 years. Well over 1,000, probably like into the 10,000, so maybe 100 times. And then noticing the stories. Oh, that gold is just a physical thing. It doesn't do anything. What all money and currency really is just a store of value to be unlocked at a later time. And what is real and requires proof of work and has been transacted, traded for a long time, rather than the latest fad, the latest thing that depreciates, that loses value because it shifts with time. Immutable. Immutable. And this whole idea of digital gold, Bitcoin, rather than all the man-made pseudo gold, which can all be shifted. It's like monopoly money then. You can just print more of it. It isn't actually worth anything. And then also the idea that what if the poles that are changing and the earth changes, or there's a giant solar flare wave that knocks at all the electronics? Well, that would actually knock some of the stuff out. And because there's all these nodes, there is this calculations happening, and whenever it does get recreated, the nodes can be reconnected, and then the accounting can still be there. And if that gets knocked out, all of it gets knocked out, all the electronic stuff, and just being okay with it. What doesn't get knocked out is the trust, the connections, the relationships, especially the deep ones that have time and space and depth. And those are what we're cultivating right now. Which ones are we really wanting to cultivate? And being more intentional about it. How do you actually how do I actually cultivate relationships with intention? And part of it is even my own family, right? My family that I chose, my beloved, my son, my cat, my family that's born into my parents, my brother, my family that I've adopted, the in-laws, the cousins, the siblings, and then the ohana as well, the ones that are there that show up, and then the ones that show up consistently and regularly. More and more I want to connect with them. And then who I used to call teachers, mentors, that I want to apprentice with, now allies. And being able to notice when it shifts back and forth. The giving and the receiving versus the taking and the, what is the word for opposite for taking? The victiming? I don't know. There's a piece there. And how to notice when I've been in all the different realms, when I've been in the deepest of griefs, depression, anger, rage, suppressed anger and rage, I'll say that, even though it is alive as well, and what's coming out now, whether it's through the tears, whether it's the yelling, through the screaming, through the singing, through the burping, through the farting, and then noticing the modalities that I'm really using now, the breath, the meditation, the listening to different viewpoints, different stories, the fiction, the nonfiction, the enemas, the urine therapy, the natural therapies, the natural iodines, the grass-fed meats, the butters, the salts, the chlorine dioxides, the turpentines, the desire to buy more local, more well-produced. We're getting a new booster seat, and we have the option of getting a $169 one made in China. Not that China is bad, but the stuff that we're getting, the primary focus is how do we actually shift the cost down to make it more competitive. And then the Canadian produced one, which number one, it feels like is real safety. It's got a real metal strong frame. It's got different materials. I'd love to get the one that's made of wool, but will we have access to it in the near future? Maybe not. And do we rush it or do we not? And then noticing that even if we do quote unquote rush it, it's okay. Oh, I can look online for a Kleck Uber Mammoth. There we go. Let's look at that too, just to see if it's available. And then today I'll be having calls with some people who've been through the deepest work. I'll be having a visit with someone who's been doing lots of breath and other things with me. And then if I'm lucky, I'll have a call with someone who has been doing the different kinds of looking at money, wealth, things like that. So there's lots of different aspects. And then I'm preparing for tomorrow, I'm preparing for today, I'm preparing for this upcoming week, I'm preparing for the possibilities, I'm preparing for the weather, I'm preparing for the unknown while also stepping into the unknown. And then stepping into the Hape medicine today as well. It's been such a clearing tool for me. I'm noticing I'm going from head to heart, but I'm also looking to go below because it's those lower three chakras, the root, the sacral, the solar plexus. And I think there's a new one being created that is a little bit blocked, ungrounded, disconnected, and just being able to be with that and what's possible, and that is more. And then cleaning up the things that need to be cleaned up, even the decluttering, even the letting go of stuff, and noticing the continued buying, beautification, all that stuff that's happening, and then writing down the activities that feel like they're most alive, most important to fulfill on, and then also taking a look at the claims that are being put forth with the different insurances and everything else like that. So many different layers, aspects in play. And then all the effort and work that goes into claiming things as well. Many of the efforts into the conversations, many of the efforts into the connections. And recognizing the reminder, it's like, oh, that one connection with that lawyer, that one connection with that insurance person, that one connection with that teacher, that one connection with this experience has made more differences usually than the prolonged, repeated work. And the work lays the foundation for new patternings. How have I patterned? Well, going from waking up at 3 p.m., trying to sleep in, trying to sleep away life, trying to avoid life, trying to get sick to avoid life, trying to get sick to just take breaks, to actually taking breaks, taking self-care, being reminded over and over again of the patterns. I don't have to get sick in order to take a break. And this work of the self-care that feels like it's almost too much sometimes, especially when looked at from the eyes of others, is part of my overall work. It's part of the whole package. And that is the work of stepping into this, is that the work isn't just the direct work, and I keep reminding the practitioners of this and keep stepping into it as I'm receiving. and keep noticing what I'm actually feeling off about that as well, and just trusting the process, trusting my own unfolding, trusting my resistances, trusting my blocks, trusting the yeses, trusting the nos. Sometimes it's feeling like rushing, and that was the reminder from my dear uncle. It's like, what's the rush? The why so serious? Why so serious? What am I trying to do seriously? The when I'm actually in my head too much and trying to really push. And then when am I lying back, sitting down, going, I'm feeling knocked off my feet. Oh, this is a place to actually notice. If I can notice it a little quicker, a little more gently, I can actually sit back and observe more rather than have to be knocked off my feet in order to stop interfering. And then trusting the process, trusting that I'm trying to create something that feels so solid. Part of it is letting go of the rigidity while also being more and more clear and stepping into it, stepping into the, okay, I see a vehicle. Okay, I see a vehicle. Okay, I see a vehicle. What's the vehicle I want to drive right now? What's the vehicle I want to learn how to maintain? What's the vehicle I want to learn more about? What's the stuff I want to play with? What's the stuff I know I want to get supported in? I've got supports and I trust the supports. Really good mechanics, bookkeepers, accountants, operations people, concierges, hospitality. Looking at those details and also learning enough about them, but not even having to be the one that delivers. I no longer have to be the one that delivers tech support. I no longer have to be the one that plays the doctor, the differential diagnosis, the interactions, all that stuff. And how do I stockpile the things that I want to stockpile, the little kits that I want to be able to send everywhere in the world to be able to maximize my own self-impact and impact on others that I want to have? How do I speak cryptically and clearly at the same time? How do I remember that the person that most needs to hear my words is me? And the people that get to hear around me, if I really curate it, are being served by it. And part of it is noticing when they're ready to actually receive my work point of view without making it that they need to shift into my point of view, and reminding them of that. And reminding people how I work best. I respond well. I want to respond to the ones that are closest that I love. And letting go of trying to respond to everyone all at once, all the time, as quickly as possible. Concentrating it, bringing it together. And then taking a breath and letting it go. Taking a breath and letting it go. Taking a breath and letting it go. Wearing the wolves. Wearing the clues, seeing the hummingbirds, seeing the birds, seeing the dead birds even. And all of those are clues. Hearing and listening to my son as he gives me clues, as he shows me what's probably going on inside of me, what the learning is, what the manipulation is. The other day he was just staring at numbers because he was learning them and just letting him stare, noticing him staring. That's the almost obsession to something new. And it's cool to watch and to witness. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gracias, Mauru, dankjewel, dankeschön, arigato gozaimasu, sheshe, mgoi, dode, gracias, merci beaucoup, merci buckets. Thank you. Practicing more and more thank yous in more and more different languages. It's such a beautiful word to be able to honor. Honoring the spirits, honoring the angels, honoring the Amakua, the ancestors, honoring the animal spirits, honoring the earth, honoring the cosmos, sun, moon, the stars, comets, honoring the extraterrestrials, honoring the aliens, honoring the beings, the densities, the vibrations, honoring even the parts that feel like they are evil or dark, honoring everything, everyone is playing roles, not a role, roles. And always going back, like this is the effects that I get to see. The causes keep spiraling back to all the way back to creation, whether we call it the Big Bang or something else, let there be light. And then beyond and before that, and then above that, the higher and higher dimensions, the lower and lower dimensions, the time and the space, the wormholes, the folding and the unfolding, the connection, everything is connected. The multiple layers of reality, of experiences, the gurus that have done that, the bodhisattvas, the Christ consciousness, the scriptures, the writings, the dedication, the avatars that are coming, the movies, the fiction. Oh, I want to find the never-ending story again and then dive into that again a little bit. And the play, like actually having fun again. What is actually fun? And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be spending a lot of money. It can just be being. And I forget that sometimes. And that was just it. Realizing that sometimes when my beloved asks me for one bottle of wine, I buy 7. I'm like, okay, A, practice going back to the 1. And then B, practice noticing if you're buying 1 or 2 extra, that there's a reason for it. But I'm getting all the way to past the original numbers. Part of it is trying to both show off, ego, insecurity, uncertainty. And when am I stepping into those things? And how do I play with that so every time I make a mistake, I'm learning from it? Like the whole idea of blaming. Oh my God, I can't believe she knocked this phone on my hand that caused it to be scratched. And Amazon was late delivering the case, which is why it happened. And then listening to someone I care about say, well, if I hadn't gotten a case yet, I just wouldn't use it for that long. And there's wisdom and truth in that too. And it's just a choice. It's always a choice. It's always a choice. And whatever happens, whatever happens. And can I be with that? Can I notice when I want to turn back time? I want to reverse it in the ways that I can, manipulate the system. How can I return this phone to get another one? But then how much time and energy did I invest into setting this one up? I'm setting up the next one for my beloved as well. And then noticing there's that piece too. How much time? And time is a valuable asset. Time is a valuable asset. How many of these devices do I want to manage, or do I want them just to work? And how valuable is it when they just work? And that's part of it, is getting a really reliable, quiet, comfortable, durable, mobile car is so important to me that I can kit out with towing, with rooftop, camping, with the ability to plug things in. All of those things are important to me, with less wireless technology especially. Less technology, but enough technology that I feel comfortable right now, knowing that even though there will be magnetic electrical forces in it, that it serves me right now, and less phoning home. And so most likely I'm going to be looking for either 2020 to at most 2022 Lexus GX 460, because I think it's almost a sweet spot, form, functionality, everything else in between. And just trusting the process of guiding myself, my family into this, guiding the conversations of even being willing to ask for receiving of monies, and then being able to guide that into the next layer, the next layer, the next layer, without feeling right or wrong about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. 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 Is there anything else? So much else. It's funny that these seed phrases, these names, they matter. And what is this representing? And that's part of it. I remember Aubrey Marcus in Fit for Service, like, what is the name that we wish to give ourselves? What is the fullness of the name that we want to embody? And one of the ideas that we had was like, what if we shifted our name to wonder? And I'm just thinking of all the other ones: sovereignty, divine imperfection, Orion, Saturn. Just being with all these imaginations, machinations, paradoxes, dichotomies, trinities. Oh, what a cool name, right? Trinity in the Matrix. Kraken, strike. All of these have purpose, meaning behind it. Ohana even has meaning behind the ha, representing breath. Like, there are no accidents. Ohana means family. No one gets left behind. And just seeing that process, while also not having to feel like I need to hold the hands, pull people in order for them not to be left behind. The whole idea of being left behind feels physical, feels spatial, feels temporal. And what if it isn't? What if it's just the energetic? I am pushing you away because you're undeserving. And if I'm stop pushing, which takes energy, then I'm actually not leaving you behind. I'm making space for, I'm allowing, I'm minimizing the interference with you. And then noticing who is actually sensitive to all these EMFs. What are the rules and regulations, and how different it is around the world. And these different regulations, noticing the ones that feel right or wrong, the ones that are outdated, outmoded, the ones that are here for different interest groups, industries that didn't want to clean things up, and then noticing the regulations that we do have that are really pushing, that may not actually be serving, because it's this whole mental game rather than actually stepping out of the way and saying what really feels heart-based. How do I actually step into this? How do I not impose so many rules that we get lost in the rules? Because right now we've gotten lost in the rules. We've gotten lost in what we actually produce. We've gotten lost in the whole idea of chop wood, carry water, and wondering why there's so much quote unquote toxic masculinity, which is a recent term. And these recent terms encapsulate too much. That's why even the idea of a leader who isn't, what was it? There was a word that was being used that sounds so good, considerate of others, is not serving. And I thought, I'm minimizing the labels because the labels I think are limiting as well. Even the labels of the archetypes, the king, warrior, magician, lover, the idea of a tyrant prince, all of these things, they're limiting and they're a way for common communication. These words are just for common communication. But if I believe the words to be the truth, just like the five senses, which doesn't make any sense at all, it's nonsense actually, because yes, we all have these different kind of proprioceptive taste, temperature, thermal, pressure, and they're all different senses with different receptors. And this whole idea that I'm this biochemical body that's constantly creating all these different biochemistries, and that's what's actually going on, all these complex interactions, and then missing out on the increased complexity of the electrical impulses, of the vibratory impulses, of the quantum impulses, all these different impulses, the temperature impulses, that I'm missing out on what's actually going on. And the whole idea of water just being water rather than water being such a beautiful, permeable state, medium, store of thought processes, and seeing the difference in water, the deuterium depleted water, the spring water, the ocean water, the energy of the water, the structure of water, the crystalline structure of water, the gel-like nature possibility of water. Water can change, and the solidity of water, the instability of water, the gaseousness of water, the subliminal nature of water, sublimating from solid to gas, so cool. And then the vastness of space, the requirement for a certain magnetic field, the requirement for a certain resonance to be there for ourselves, because if we shift too quickly, maybe our bodies aren't quite ready for that shift, even if our souls are. And then actually doing the preparatory work, the meditation, the prayer, the yoga, the dancing, the movement, and then noticing how many of us, including myself, sometimes like, I need to do these hard movements, these strong movements, these showing off movements, the sacredness of competition when the competition is actually sacred and noticing when it's not, the loss of our own competitiveness and just watching that of others and trying to live out through their lives. So playing with all these magic mirror works, thank you, thank you, thank you. Playing with the sunlight, the sunrise, thank you, thank you, thank you. Playing with the circadian rhythm, the melatonin, noticing the melatonin in the pineal gland, different than melatonin in the body, different in the different places. The whole idea of supplements being the thing rather than, okay, short periods of times for specific reasons, wonderful. Long periods of time for consistent reasons, not so good. And if our diet is lacking in things, lacking in the complexity, because we're growing things not for their pure, true nutritional value, but for the sales, for the beauty, for the longevity, for the storage, for the transportation, not for the taste, because the fullness and the richness of taste used to be the delineator for the food. And when we got to canned food and separated ourselves from the actual suppliers of the food, how that really impacted us, and how do we get back to that? Because that separation, the grocery store even, could be one of the most dangerous things in a way. The whole idea of these clinics that have started up, what are all these recent clinics? The clinics for glasses, for UV light, for sunscreen, all these new categories may not actually be serving as much as we like, and especially when we promote it so much and shift so much, we're actually polluting our waters. And there's actually some waters that say, please stop doing this, because we're noticing this is changing things, it's changing the local flora and fauna, and we're forgetting that. If it's killing the plants and the animals, what is it doing to us? What hormone disruptors? And then the replacement of hormones. How do we get to that point where we think it needs to be done? How do we get to the point where we think that every day is supposed to be the same as the last day, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are the working days, Saturday, Sunday are the weekend days? Arbitrary constructs taking over natural rhythms of each person, which actually has a different rhythm, especially the moon cycles of the women, especially the parallel cycles that men may go through without having the same thing, checking on the hormones, checking on the release, checking on how many are retaining when the retention may not actually be serving, and then noticing how in the release can there be more magic that's created. Can we notice that there's the sexual channel, there's the Kundalini channel, there's actually more channels, but we've forgotten them. And even the opening of the Kundalini channel, how to do that, I'm not sure yet. And then all the teachers, the imperfect teachers that are there, and then throwing everything out with them because they've been deemed imperfect. Everything they taught must be imperfect as well. We're the ones that are deemed perfect. Everything they taught must be perfect. And those strong, charismatic voices are the ones that have really changed things. It's not so much science, but the presentation of the science. And I used to be really good at presenting the science without actually knowing the science and really believing the science and how things are dose dependent. Ultraviolet light, too tiny a dose, not so good. Too big a dose, not so good. Sweet spot, how do we find the sweet spots for ourselves? How do we not make it universal? This is universally good, this is universally bad. Fat's bad now. Fat's good now. Ketonic, good now. Noticing the shifts on the outside. If the shifts happen on the outside, oh my God, I noticed a shift with this diet. That's providing some space, but that's not actually the solution. What is it that's going on? And as you make space for that, how do you find that space? All right, ciao for now.